Hello, my name is Marcy, and I'd like to welcome you to the Introduction to a Path Less Travelled UK. First of all, thank you for choosing my self-guided walking tours to try to get the most of your visit. It gives me great joy to share my passion for history, film, architecture, and art with as many people as possible. The purpose of these tours is to stop your holiday turning into just a checklist of major sites seen. London in particular has so much more to offer than just its top 10 attractions. I hope by taking you on a more interesting route, you will get even more out of your trip. I recommend listening to the tour the day before you actually go on it for reasons I will shortly explain. It will give you a better idea of what to look forward to at the very least. You may have already noticed that my accent isn't as British as you may have expected. I'm Canadian by birth, but I have lived in England for decades, so I assure you you're in safe hands. Speaking of safety, you're traveling through an old country, so not everything is uniform and pristine. Always ensure you are looking where you are going. I know that may sound obvious, but the streets can suddenly change to cobblestone. I personally have been caught out by a higher than expected curb, so you really need to always be alert. That's why it is important that you stop, find a safe place out of public walkways to listen to the commentary, and never play it while on the move. If you are not willing to take responsibility for your own health and safety, please do not use these tours and try to find a tour guide to take you around instead. If you are not native to the United Kingdom, please note that we drive on the left-hand side of the road. That said, there are also many one-way streets, so looking both ways before crossing and always obeying traffic signals has never been more important. You are passing through tourist hotspots, so you also need to be aware of potential criminal activity. This can encompass pickpockets up to potential terrorist threats. If you are in need of emergency assistance, the police, ambulance, and fire service can be contacted on 999. There are maps included on the walks to accompany the verbal directions. If you like the comfort of having a map to follow, you may wish to take screenshots of them to refer to so you don't have to keep rewinding the commentary. Another thing handy to do before actually going out on the tour. On some of the tours, you will hear me say that a particular place of interest is on a loop. This means that you will be returning to the exact same spot after visiting, so you could easily skip that item if you are pressed for time or it just doesn't take your fancy. If this is the case, keep listening to the commentary and follow the instructions from the end of that loop section to the next point to pause the commentary at. Once you start listening to the tours, you will notice I rarely make recommendations for places to eat. As these tours can be started at any time during the opening hours of the venues to be visited, it would be difficult to know where to slot these places in. I recommend looking at the area to be covered on the day's tour and researching potential places to stop for a drink or meal, particularly if you have special dietary needs. You will also notice I give little information about the main attractions. This is so your day doesn't become repetitive. If you are visiting a particular venue, the guides there will be happy to give you information relating to it. Never be afraid to ask questions. I've gotten the most out of some attractions by asking the ticket sellers what their favorite part is. Speaking of tickets, it is possible to save time at some places by booking in advance. Major attractions, like the Tower of London, can have huge queues, that's British for lineups, and you can sometimes get discounts from railway companies if you buy the ticket through their website with a travel card. This is usually only applicable if staying outside central London, though. You may also benefit from things like Historic Palaces membership if you are planning on visiting the Tower of London, Hampton Court, Kensington Palace, and the Banqueting House. A bit of research beforehand can save you precious time and money on your trip. I also don't include interior photos for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want to spoil the sense of discovery that you get when you enter a venue for the first time. Secondly, won't lie, don't want to get in trouble for sharing something I shouldn't. Another thing I need to stress is I am only making recommendations of things that I have personally enjoyed or are popular with the masses. It is entirely up to you if you think an attraction is worth your time and money. This is why I highly recommend listening to the commentary before visiting and checking out places of interest websites to see if they grab your attention. I'm afraid I am not responsible if you suddenly decide that dinosaur fossils really aren't your thing, for example. Lastly, the weather in Britain can be highly changeable, so always check a weather app the morning of your tour. A pocket umbrella is a worthwhile investment on the majority of trips. All that said, I truly hope you enjoy your adventure. You are now ready to join me on A Path Less Travelled UK.